Welcome to the Fun Astrology Podcast for Wednesday, July 16th. Thomas Miller and Kristin Lawhead. That means it's Great Pyramid Day, and we have a beautiful chart to show you for Virgo rising. We're starting to finally move across the chart now, and if we're out of order in your mind, like you were thinking, well, Cancer was last, what's up? Kristin's was done at the very beginning. These are all in a playlist on the YouTube channel, so you can just go to the playlist tab, look for the Great Pyramid, boom, you got them all right there together. Now, what we're doing here is obviously moving over because now the zero Aries point is in the 7th house. Kristin, I wonder about relationships. We've got Uranus over here shaking things up and baking it in the 9th, and then we have the 5th house of creativity and a bunch of other things where Pluto is. And just of note, you can't almost look at this without acknowledging that Pluto and Mars are pretty close together.
Yeah, Pluto and Mars would have already had a conversation, and Pluto is moving its way across the 5th house, but it will kind of come back and make a close encounter, but not a conjunction again. But yeah, that's definitely part of the dynamic here for sure. This is a full moon baby, almost at its peak, and definitely has some potent energy. Again, this is another chart that kind of spans across all 3 decans. So when it comes to aspects, there's always something going on. Now, with this apex and really triggering that that Venus, that is probably the thing that stands out to me the most. And part of that conversation around relationships being partially the 9th house. So, their ability to connect with people on a big scale and education, spirituality, being that Taurus ruled, as well as the 2nd house. That's a lot about their value and the dynamic that they bring to the table. But I think with Aries ruling the 8th, that opposition and that access is really in focus here. So, how much of their cup is filled after interacting with somebody and vice versa.
Boy, that is a great walk through the primary structure of this, for sure. Thank you. Adding on to that, you mentioned Taurus up in the 9th, and it's interesting that the trine planets here, Uranus and Pluto, are both under Earth, which means that this is
Mhm.
a really solid, grounded kind of transformation and change for her. And with Uranus as active as it is, who knows what kind of shake and bake, like we were saying, that you can have. But it seems to me like she might be a little more grounded in how things appear for her or how she responds to them.
That's such a great point. With this dynamic being fire and air, having that earth to ground the house does add a little bit of that, and especially for a Virgo moon, it's much appreciated.
And let's just revisit this one more time because I've got a special affinity with the 5th house, obviously, with about 16 planets in there. But but this is power, and I've got Mars in the 5th too. So I realize the implications of this with Pluto coming across. And remember, Reinhold Ebertin wrote in his Stellar Influences book that Pluto is 3 times the power of Mars. So you have the dynamite and the kryptonite together in this aspect for her. And the 5th house
Yeah.
being so charged with things like creativity, and I'm going to say it, sexuality, that the
Mhm.
thing that I'm thinking, and this is one thing that I've realized with my own Mars, is that in all areas, when you get this much energy and concentrated in your chart, find areas of release. So that could be not a 2-mile run, an 8-mile run if your legs and knees and body can handle it. Or go to the gym where there's a punching bag, somewhere where you can get the release out or create. I actually have a punching bag here in my garage for that very reason. It's a very safe, therapeutic, and great exercise. Think of a steam valve on a pressure cooker on your stove. If that steam isn't
Mm-hmm.
coming out, what are you going to have? You're going to have the pasta or whatever you're cooking inside all over your kitchen eventually. So don't get to that point.
I think that's a wonderful observation, especially with Venus in Aries, kind of going back to that Mars in Capricorn being exalted, and the two combination, especially with Pluto in that sextile to that Venus as well. It is a transformation of that energy and how they use their time for pleasure. And I think that a physical representation of that is very important for how active that Mars and Venus are.
And then let's just jump back up here to the ninth. You mentioned it. Great points on social interactions and how she's left after being with other people. That certainly is huge here. We've got the
Hmm.
Taurus grounding. We've got this Venus theme that's just showing up all over here. So we really need to tip our hat more and more and more to this Venus. But the South Node is so close to this, and eventually Uranus is going to come over and hit that South Node. And that is you're getting ready to face some stuff to release. And this is the theme, Kristin, that I've been seeing with this whole aspect. We were looking for the clarity, these little glimpses of things coming through of how this is going to
Hmm.
show up for people. And one of the things that I'm seeing is a little bit of short-term physical pain, perhaps, or releasing or challenge in order for great spiritual gain.
Yeah, definitely. Especially with that Neptune opposition and the fact that it's also activating the midheaven as well. I think that that's a great read.
So if this is your chart, when this shows up, you have the grounding with the two earth signs. So just lean into that grounding. And what I'm advising people, I put something on our Facebook post last week. Somebody was expressing that they were having challenges with their housing situation. And that's a lot. That's a lot to handle. And what we have to
Hmm.
do here is just to release into working with the universe on this and not pushing against it. Because if we push against it, then obviously the lessons will have to find us in a little harder way.
I think one other thought that I have is with Venus ruling the ninth and the second, if she's in some sort of pursuit of knowledge to eventually earn money with that, that combination of the ninth and the second is a lot about value and learning to create that value.
These are great points. And finally, we got a mid degree here, rising sign, 15 degrees. So that's why each of these positions is about right in the middle of the house, because that's where we're focusing on. And for her, I'm glad to see finally that we're kind of moving away from the top of the chart and we're starting to rotate around. We'll be doing Libra next and we'll tick it one more degree clockwise. So this has been great. Kristin, thank you for your comments and thank you all for listening. And we will see you again next Wednesday on the video. And guess who will be back tomorrow?
I'll be back with you guys tomorrow. Thank you all so much.